Over the past 18 months, Exxaro's energy ambitions have come to life with the creation of an energy business that supports our carbon reduction goals and our ambitions for sustainable growth. Achievements that will be made possible by growing utility generation, distributed generation, and providing asset management services and solutions. We are diligently building an energy team with the goal of becoming a leading renewable energy solutions provider, both locally and internationally by 2030. In 2012, Synergy was formed in a joint venture with Tata Power and became a wholly owned subsidiary of Exxaro in April of 2020. It owns and operates 2 utility-scale wind farms with an installed capacity of 229 megawatts, which makes us one of the largest SA-owned IPPs. We expanded our footprint in 2018 with the construction of 9 solar facilities totaling 2 megawatts and commenced studies in 2020 to establish a large-scale solar PV facility that will generate a further 70 megawatts of power at our Grootegeluk mine. As we build our renewable energy pedigree and mining heritage, we continue to strengthen our networks and advance our energy strategy to open possibilities and power a clean world.
Thank you for that introductory video, Zilla. I think it gives a good but brief overview of the Exxaro renewable energy strategy and also the Synergy business. I think it's important to note that this is not a new focus for Exxaro. This is a refocus on a strategy that has been in evidence that was started over a decade ago. The strategy that we are about to unveil now has been the culmination of at least 18 months' work for the team, even before I arrived. And particularly in the last 6 to 9 months, we've been looking and focusing on starting to execute the strategy. So obviously a key driver for us is making sure that we're working towards a sustainable growth and a decarbonised Exxaro. But our ambitions are not limited to Exxaro alone. We're aiming to take the existing business and growth path to become a leading international renewable energy solutions provider by 2030. Now, obviously, our purpose is to drive carbon neutrality by 2050 and to provide better lives in Africa and beyond. We're also looking to power a clean world. So how are we going to go about this? We've already commenced with our own generation projects and expanding our services business. We're utilising the skills and networks developed at our mining and renewable cores. We want to develop partnerships and we're building on our skill base organically. We've already transitioned some of our mining colleagues through some renewable training so that they can integrate into the renewable team. We're looking to enter new markets in a low-risk way through either partnerships or acquisition. And possibly the last line is the most important line. Our strategy has been developed through rigorous discussion of what can and can't be achieved by Exxaro. And we'll execute it with the same focus set out in this strategy with a disciplined approach to the decisions we take. So how are we going about this? Obviously, we're starting with our own generation needs. We're expanding our South African footprint in services and distributed generation. We'll follow Exxaro into new markets, and we'll look at inorganic new market entry for distributed generation and utility. We're already an existing, stable, sizable renewable platform and brand in South Africa. We're developing partnerships in our home country. We're also developing our skills internally. When we look to enter into new markets, we'll be acquiring new skills in order to help us formulate that growth path in the new market. And then, of course, we'll be financing a large proportion of the growth strategy through debt finance. Much of our finance that we're looking to raise will be project finance, which is non-recourse or limited recourse in a ring-fenced manner with around particular projects. And this will enable us to make the best use of Exxaro's capital. So our goals, obviously, to fast-track decarbonisation for Exxaro. We're looking to deploy 15 billion rand of equity by 2030. We're looking to add an extra 3 gigawatts of net renewable generating capacity. And this is potentially up to 6 gigawatts of catalysed renewable energy investments, depending on our shareholding on the individual projects. And then our target returns are 15% on a portfolio basis. And all of this will generate an extra 6 billion rand of EBITDA by 2030. So in order to execute with a fast-growing startup culture, we've already established a separate working structure with strong governance frameworks enabling a simple, lean, empowered and agile approach to this new business. And our 3 pillars are distributed generation, utility generation and services. So this isn't the start of our renewable journey. Aspirations started in 2009, and gradually but continuously we've been developing the business and knowledge in the years since then. In 2009, we signed our first MOU to develop a wind farm. By 2012, we had created Synergy in partnership with Tata Power, and we bidded into South African's renewable energy IPP program. By 2016, we had 229 megawatts of renewable assets in operations. And in 2018, we started development of 9 distributed solar facilities built through the Business of Tomorrow program. Now, these are private-to-private businesses, so they were important for us to understand the regulatory process and how to enable us to develop a future pillar of the business. Between 2019 and 2020, we bought out Tata's stake to become 100% owner of the Synergy platform. And then last year, we started studies on our own generation, in particular our largest project, the Grootegeluk mine in Limpopo. This year, in addition to executing on the strategy and developing our own generation, we've been engaging with various mines in South Africa to provide them with bespoke renewable solutions. And over this whole period, Synergy has been managing our assets from 2012, when it oversaw the construction of the 2 wind farms, through to now when it's also managing the 9 distributed solar facilities. So the result is actually South Africa's second largest locally owned renewable IPP developer. We have 231 megawatts of assets under management, about 200 net megawatts. We have the 2 wind farms in the Eastern Cape, and we have 9 solar facilities that are distributed in the northern part of the country. So we obviously have a strategic role to play in the Exxaro context, transitioning us to a carbon neutral future. But we're not limited to what we can do for Exxaro. We want to build on existing renewable asset bases and our competencies in South Africa. And ultimately, we're looking to provide renewable energy solutions to the private and public sectors in select markets globally. And in order to do this, we're obviously going to leverage Exxaro's unique networks and skill sets to deliver portfolio diversification and long-term stability to Exxaro's cash flows. So the existing business has been reconfigured to focus on 3 pillars: distributed generation, utility generation, and services. In distributed generation, we already have the 2 megawatts under management, 9 operating assets. We're developing our own 3 of our own projects for our 3 main mines. It's a sector that is a high growth subsector. It's still at a nascent stage in South Africa, but it's also a higher return environment. We're dealing with private-to-private transactions with bespoke solutions, and that necessarily involves higher returns than the utility generation pillar. We're targeting above 3 megawatts per project, scaling to over potentially 100 megawatts per project. And then utility generation, we have our two assets, 229 megawatts. We're targeting opportunities above 20 megawatts, and we're continuing to appraise the South African market. We looked at the REIT bid window 5 and took a decision not to enter at this stage. We felt that the risk-adjusted returns for REIT bid window 5 did not meet our investment criteria, but we are continuing to appraise the South African market from a utility perspective. Now, utility is still the largest renewable subsector from an asset perspective. So we're assessing new markets for potential entry that closer meet our investment criteria. And then services. We have 11 assets under management already. We're going to grow this business. The business itself adds value to the asset base, but it can potentially be its own standalone business. It enables us to seek new customers and to broaden our customer base and deliver new services beyond just our asset base. And ultimately, in the future, we're looking to further horizontal integration of additional services and potentially disrupted digital models as the distributed power base grows in South Africa and beyond. And across all three pillars, we're looking at M&A activity. This will enable us to transition at speed and scale, and will enable us to enter new markets in a low risk way, acquiring the skill sets in order to do so.